Good evening, America. Welcome. It's Thursday night. The Book of Man, Book Study 48 Laws of Power. We are here. It is I, Jay Sills, the live broadcasting to you from ATL with none other than Doc, broadcasting live from the court. We're here to celebrate another episode of the Book of Man to talk about some deep topics we got for you tonight. Doc, what's going on, big brother?
Man, what's happening, bro? What's happening, man? I'm glad to be here as always. And last week on the book study, well, I'm glad you had cut me off, boy, because I was about to tear that thing open. Boy, it was good.
I looked down back here, man. The dog was bleeding all over the place. I had to go take to the dog. I can't let the dog go down on my watch, I can't have the lady come back and she wondered what happened to her dog. Then we're gonna be out there. I don't want to do that.
It's gonna be trouble, man.
We'll be smoking the city.
Okay. Hey, what's up, family? OG, what's up, man? I'm glad you could make it, and I tagged you in the post because I know you was interested in what was going on.
Oh yeah, we got a couple good ones for them tonight, man. I think these two topics, man, these are ones that cost you nothing. Cost you nothing to implement. You can start doing these immediately, and I think two of these topics right here are going to be the ones that gonna give you the most. Just like these are almost stress relievers.
Look,
both of these topics right here.
If you ask me, man, it requires a shift of mindset, and if when you make this shift of mindset, you'll find out a whole bunch of other stuff fall into place because you made this shift.
Yeah, this first one is something I've been harping on for many years. I've been telling to other people, to myself, this here timing is everything. It was a character in a movie or a show I used to watch. That was his line, was timing is everything. And I took that to heart myself, and I didn't even realize until I read this book why certain things I had been doing had been so effective based on this law.
It reminded me of Lord of the Rings, where they say, Gandalf, why'd you come so late? You could have been on time. And he said, a wizard is never late. He's on time when he gets there.
Hey.
That's what this is. Whenever I get there, that's on time. Which when we get deeper to this thing, I told you earlier, man, in the green room, I was gonna throw some stuff on you that was gonna take this in a whole nother direction, boy. I can't
that's why we looking for different perspectives, ideas, thoughts. So anybody out there, if you're watching right now, feel free to jump in, tell us what's on your mind. Also, like, share, subscribe to join the group, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're definitely here to listen to all kind of ideas to make this show as good as possible. Doc, you want to go ahead and let's jump on into it, man. Want a little bit of the book, man.
All right, Law 35. We got 13 more laws to go, y'all. We almost there. And also the next book, because we ain't stopping. We got more learning to do. More learning. Right. But Law 35, master the art of timing. Okay, this is what he said in the judgment. This is the setup for it. Hurrying betrays a lack of control over yourself and over time. Always seem patient, as if you know everything will come to you eventually. Become a detective at the right moment. Sniff out the spirit of the times. The trends will carry you to power. Learn to stand back when the time is not yet ripe, and to strike fiercely when it has reached fruition.
Now, for me, how I have applied this in my own life is I've made it a point to never look, I guess the word I'm looking for is disheveled or concerned, or like I didn't know what the next thing was. I actually used to spend time trying to figure out how things could go throughout my day, just so when things did go haywire or possibly messed up, I already thought this through and had a plan for it, so I could always seem like I knew exactly where to move and how to move. That was initially what I took right from the judgment.
You know what? For me, this is something I connected with a long time ago.
Right.
And it comes from observing myself and observing things. And what I found is that anytime that I rushed something, I always messed it up,
Yep.
regardless. Like, for instance, there's a story in this. Oh, all right, I got to go to the story, man, because I was going to skip over these stories and kind of jump to the meat. But this story encompasses what I was trying to say in itself. And what it is a story, 17th century Ming dynasty. The guy had to get inside the gates before it was dark.
Yep.
He had a pile of papers.
Yep.
And he asked, can I get there in time? Because if he didn't get there in time, the bandits was going to catch him, rob him, kill him, beat him, do all the bad stuff to him. The man said, if you take your time, you can get there in time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the man decided he was going to run because it was getting a little bit dark. And he ended up dropping all the papers and had to go back and get them. And that's the same thing that happens when we are not patient.
Yep.
Rushing means that you don't have control over yourself and your emotions.
I think, as far as this chat is concerned, it's a very good point, man. I had a guy who I worked with. He used to say, "Listen, don't rush through it. I want you to hurry up, but take your time."
Mm-hmm.
And when he broke that down, he said, "What I want you to do is just be diligent about what you're doing. Stay in what you're doing,
yeah,
but don't rush through what you're doing." So, because most of us, where we have enough time to do the things we want to do.
Oh yeah.
We just want to leave enough time for other stuff too. You have enough time throughout the day to complete, to go home. Let's take when you're in school. You got plenty of time to do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
But you rush through it because you really want to watch TV, or because you really want to go play basketball. But you got enough. If you just sit there and just do it, you would do it and do it correctly. But you rush through
walk it down.
2, 3, I'm wrong because you want to do something else.
So OG said, "Dang, when I rush things, I come out better with whatever it is. The longer I wait, the more problems I create for myself." Okay, now we're going to touch on that later on in this chapter because that has to do with your perception of time and how you process it. But what this is talking about is the minutia of it, the individual steps. So, for instance, in your profession, as a welder or even as a chef, I'm gonna call you a chef, man, because
we see the plates.
we see what you do. So you can become good at the steps, and you can do them fast. Therefore, you don't have to do them. You don't have to take as much time to do them because to you, chopping up an onion is easy.
Right.
So you can do it real quick because of that practice. But what about somebody who don't know how to chop up an onion and they try to go fast?
It ain't gonna come out right.
Become the four-fingered man.
They're gonna come out light.
So I think the mastery of what you do is that. But let's say, for instance, I said that you had to write a 10-page essay on something. Now I can wait until the day of and write it, and it'd be good.
Right.
Now I'm not sure if you can wait till the day of and write it, or you're gonna have to take some time out ahead and try to get it.
And that's a very important point you make right there. Perception of time. Because it's like I say all the time, I can go outside and work on my car.
Mm-hmm.
But that might be the whole weekend for me.
Yeah.
Whereas I can pay a mechanic who's a professional, and it might just be a couple hours for him. So
exactly.
Your skill level at something also has a lot to do with whether you need, how you consider time in mastering the art of time. You may be, for me, you get me on a truck on a forklift, I can unload it with the best of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I can play around with that time. But then, like you said, you asked me to write a 10-page essay. And it ain't due till next week. I better start right now.
Exactly. If it's due on Sunday, Sunday morning, I can be in there and crack it out a couple hours. I'm done. But all right, here's the big thing. And I told you we was going to get into some deep metaphysical stuff here. Now, he said time is an artificial concept that we created as people. Now, and he also said time of a child is long and slow, Remember when it was a kid, it'd take forever for Christmas to come.
Yep.
But as soon as you start buying the gifts, I just bought Christmas last week. It's already back.
It's already back.
So,
well, just like the school year. When you were a kid, boy, that was a long, long school year. Now I feel like I've been out of high school over 20 years, like I got out yesterday.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, what Robert Greene talking about though, he said that it's two types of time. And we got to think about it like that. Long time, which is something that's drawn out, like life is long time, or marriage is long time. You know, even working through your career is a long time.
Right.
And you got to manage that. You can't rush it. But then you got forced time when you can make it go faster. So what he's saying is that when things happen, you have control over yourself, how you perceive time and how you do things. You can make things happen faster or slower.
Yeah, and I love that concept of forced time, especially when he's talking about how to apply it to other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I should do it all the time.
It's basically, I'm putting you on my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't gonna do it when you want to do it. You're gonna do it how I want you to do it, and that's something you really have to manage as in management, like your everyday work career.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do that. I have to force time, or I won't be effective.
Well, this is the thing I thought about when he talked about forced time. And honestly, I didn't even know I was teaching my kids this, but I taught them how to slow their own time down.
Okay.
So we would play Connect Four. And how I would beat them is that I would make them rush. And how I would make them rush, I would take the chips and tap them together, but I would tap them together real fast. Tap, 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 tap. So it felt like the clock was ticking. And then I would plan my moves out ahead. So I would hurry up and drop it in there. So when they see me moving fast, they would move fast and make mistakes. Whereas I took that time and I planned out ahead. That's forced time. How you can make some other thing make mistakes because they don't have the gift that you have to see the whole court, to slow everything down. We all got that vision. Matter of fact, it's something. I got the book, Jay, and I'm gonna have to get it to you, but I can't remember the name of the dude, but it's about the flow state.
Okay.
And what the flow state is you ever been doing something that you good at and you get in the groove and all of a sudden hours that went by, but it felt like seconds?
Yeah. Yes.
Because you entered the flow state.
Right.
And you can make yourself enter it. So that has to do with this, with time.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, the title of this chapter, Master the Art of Time, is so many aspects to, I don't know if the word is manipulating or, but it's so many aspects to time and how you can use it to accomplish your goal, especially when you can make it appear to other people that while they're in chaos and in having all these issues, that you kind of just sitting back and relaxing, and you always seem to just hit it.
Yep.
Just hit it.
You're thinking ahead.
It goes back to the previous chapter where it said, gives that air of that you have superhuman.
Yes. That's it. That is it. But man, look, I think about long time in regards to a career. Think about when you have new dudes come in the warehouse, or OG, when you have people who just learn how to weld trying to come to you.
Right.
They don't want to do the beginning stuff. Nobody want to ride the bench at the beginning. They want to jump and go ahead and make them $80 an hour, or they want to be the boss, but they ain't paid the cost yet. They don't understand that it's a long game.
You gotta learn some stuff first.
You got to. But here's the application of time that I did for myself. And this is gonna sound weird, but I'm gonna tell y'all what I did, man. You know, I'm a teacher. So from May until August, it's like being retired. I could do what I want. So what I did is change the way that I perceive time. And now this is it. When we look at time, we think of time as being in 24-hour blocks.
Right.
I got this in this day. Okay, next day is this. And when you do that, them days go by real fast. I started looking at time as one continuous thing. Let me show you. We got certain times we wake up. We got certain times we go to bed. We got a certain work period. But what I did is break that up and say, okay, this is a sleep period, work period, sleep period, work period. And it didn't matter what time of day it was.
Right.
I just had to rest when I needed to rest.
Okay.
And then work when I wanted to work. So what happened was I got myself down where I could sleep 5 hours a day. And I was well rested and I got so much stuff done. Because I wasn't confining myself to 24-hour days. I was just looking at it as tasks that I wanted to do and times that I wanted to rest.
I like
that ain't nothing to be up. You know, I just saw the sun come up so many times. It's crazy. That's usually when people are asleep. But I was awake since the nighttime the day before.
Right.
Because that was my work period. And I slept for 2 hours. And then that's how Leonardo da Vinci was a artist, an inventor, a painter. He did all of that stuff because that's how he operated.
Floyd Mayweather Jr. He's talked about this before too. He says, I don't care about time of day or whatever, any of that. He said, first off, most fights happen at night.
Yeah.
So I don't need to train during the day because that's not when I fight.
That's right.
So he said, that's the beauty of being the boss, is everybody else around you got to figure out how to be on your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't care about time, day. If I feel like training, I'm gonna train.
That's right.
I feel like resting, I'm gonna rest. I know my body needs. And if I get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I tell everybody to be to the gym in an hour, you work for me.
That's right.
You gym in an hour.
But that's taking control of your life.
Yeah.
That is the big lesson, because we don't know that we can control ourselves to that level.
Right.
We don't know we can control how we perceive time to be. We just say, oh, you ever seen, and you remember when you had to clock in and out, and you had to, and you being a clock watcher.
Yep.
And it took forever to get off work.
Oh man.
Because you watching the clock.
Yep. That last hour, the longest hour.
Stop looking at it.
Yep.
It's just this task to be done. So shift yourself. And
that was something I did learn. It was like, okay, come to work. You know you don't go to break for 4 hours. Find you something that's going to take a long time to do. Those 4 hours going to go by like this.
And focus on that.
Yep. I definitely learned how to do that. Okay, you know, hey, I know it normally take me 4 hours to do 100 moves. I don't care about the hours no more. I'm just going to count to 100 moves. By the time I get to 100 moves, it's time to go. That's
it. You didn't see when I said this one time before. People looked at me like I was crazy because they can't perceive this thing. But we have to brainwash ourselves to fight against the programming that we already have. And by that, I mean this, like with this time thing. You gave yourself subliminal tricks so the time can shorten for you.
Right.
That's what we have to do. But people let stuff happen to them instead of happening to stuff.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, he said in the end, you know, he said that there's no power to be gained in letting go of the reins and adapting to whatever time brings. To some degree, you must guide time or you will be its merciless victim.
Say that again. Read that one more time. Read that one more time.
Hold on, OG. I'm going to throw it back up there in a second. All right. There's no power to be gained in letting go of the reins and adapting to whatever time brings. Don't adapt to it. To some degree, you must guide time or you will be its merciless victim.
I like that.
You control you.
Yeah, I like that. When you read it the first time, I heard you. I knew I heard you wrong. But when you read it, I said, okay, yeah. That's why I told you to read it again. I said, oh, that don't sound right. But yeah.
Just don't let stuff happen.
Yeah, it basically what I always say. I don't even like the idea of stuff just happening to me. Because I don't even like the idea of, oh, it's somebody else's fault. Because that means I got to wait for somebody else to change it.
That's right.
You know, if it's my fault, I can change it. I can fix that.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like that when you bring it to something like timing, I've always looked at it. It means that you must be intentional and you must pay attention to what's going on, and that is how you can have good timing and how you can make sure you wait for the right moment. I believe in the first story in this chapter, he's talking about the guy's a French diplomat. You know, my boy Talleyrand come up once again, but we ain't gonna talk about that. You know, but he's a French diplomat, and he spends all these years kind of lying and waiting, and then striking at the right time, striking at the right time. And that is so important. Sometimes we rush out to do something before it's the right time.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I'll give an example. A whole lot of us make. We rush out to make babies before we're ready. You know, then you end up on TikTok bringing the bags of McDonald's to people. You understand?
Bro, we're going to talk about that on Saturday. I'm telling you, we got a whole list of stuff to go in on that one. But you're right, man, at that timing. And I mean, time and what in our discussion just now, time has so many aspects.
Right.
That when you stop to try to consider them all, that's what makes you more powerful. Because when I think about time, see, you talked about timing of doing things.
Right.
I'm thinking about how I can use time to my advantage. You know, I always talked about the in-between.
Right.
What you do with your time when you ain't doing nothing. You can, like, you have a long-range goal and short-term goals.
Right.
You're working on your long range. That's long time. It's going to take you, 5 years to get this degree. So what you doing your in between when you ain't doing nothing? Okay, well, you working on little things in between.
Yep.
That's how people say they run out of time. Chefs do this all the time. I'm not good at it. OG, you probably real good at it. When they say clean as you go.
Yep. And that is one of the things I'm trying to get better at. I'm good at the big stuff when it comes to clean as you go, but the little stuff will get left.
That's not what I'm saying. But they say clean as you go. And them folks, man, they be cooking and food tastes good, but then they cleaning while they going.
Yeah,
because they're using that time.
You have to, because you don't want to be stuck cleaning up that big old mess when it's time to eat. You know, you can't even enjoy your meal because you're thinking about what you got to clean up later. And I'm saying that because all of it's about controlling your environment and controlling, your thought process and the things you do. And it's a reason why you have to be certain places at certain times. It's the reason why we teach our kids about, get up in the morning, do this, do that. You should take this much time to do this much time, because all of that has to do with your ability to control yourself. It falls under discipline and it falls under time management. Look, all the sports fans out there, how many times you seen teams lose games because of poor time management? Dallas Cowboy fans, where you at? Got your hearts broke last year by the 49ers because of poor time management. Falcons fans, where you at? We all remember 28-3. Hurt me to my soul. That's poor time management. It plays into so many factors of your life. Yeah. And if you don't take the time to master this art of timing, you better believe it's mastering you.
Well, I can't say no more. I mean, we just gotta realize how powerful we are and how much we can affect our lives every day. When you start exploring that thing and really digging into it, you can change your whole life with just this.
Yeah.
That is it. How you perceive time, how you perceive yourself, how you do things. The perception of time will change all of that. All of that, because you can see things, you can see spaces for things where everybody else don't see it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like even at spending time with your kids. Oh, you find time for that.
You will. You definitely will find time for the kids.
Because you will see it.
Yeah.
And it's simple. You got to know time.
And I think one of the major parts about mastering all the time is how much time do you waste?
Oh, yes.
We waste a lot of time. Now, sometimes you're waiting doesn't necessarily mean you're wasting time. That means you're
No,
waiting on a particular thing,
that's
which
right.
has to do with time. So, but you have to manage that. Are you waiting or are you wasting?
That's right.
Are you being patient or are you just not doing nothing?
Right. And you plan that. You can plan whether, because I believe in building in times to not do anything.
Right.
And you've set that up. But also a time when you could be doing stuff and you don't. Honestly, TikTok is like one of the worst things in the world if you don't use it correctly.
Right.
And
Oh,
what happens is people, if you look at the average TikTok, what, a minute, 2 minutes?
yeah. At the most 2 minutes.
So you're looking at two minutes, right? You scroll through 10 of them, that's 20 minutes gone.
Gone.
Before you even know it.
Oh, it happens fast. If most people went and looked at every one of these social media sites has a timer. You can go look and see how much time you spend on it each day.
Mm-hmm.
Most people would be appalled.
Oh, it's hours.
By the hours they spend on social media.
That's right.
But hey, what can I say? I'm trying to get folks to spend time on social media looking at me.
Well, all right, but look at the time though. You know what I'm saying? We looking at time spent doing things constructive.
Right.
Use things as a tool. I was talking to my homeboy this morning. We were talking about social media, and we're just talking about how much of a mess everything is right now.
Right.
When the people that you're seeing how they really think, and things that they really believe in, the things that they're pushing on other people. We see that. But what I told them is that I use social media as a way of expanding my horizons. I've made friends with people across the nation just so I can get different perspectives or get different things on my timeline. Like I get stuff about public speaking on my timeline all the time, stuff about mentoring and coaching, leadership. So you can intentionally, and when I say brainwash yourself, see, look, that's it. You control what you see and what you do. You control your own time. So you set yourself up for that.
Right. Well, let me ask, okay, so right on here we got to say is you also have to master delegation.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a job. You can't do it without falling short of something else.
True.
I think master delegation has a lot to do with what we talked about earlier as far as forced time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very similar concept. I understand what OG was trying to say there, but you definitely have to have. It's about time management, and it is about using the people around you, whether they be above, on the same level, or below you, or however way you want to designate individuals, and making sure that, like I said before, that they're on your schedule and you aren't on theirs.
That's right.
And
there's people that don't understand that.
Nope. But that's, again, these are lessons you have to learn. And all of these things you have to practice. None of this stuff is going to come easy and natural. I'm not going to say that. Some of this is going to come easy and natural to you. Some of it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that don't, you're going to have to practice, because each and every one of these laws, and I almost want to call them skills.
Yeah.
Each and every one of these skills are going to take time to develop. Talent you have naturally. Skill comes from years and years and years of honing on a craft.
That's right.
And implementing and applying the 48 laws takes time. That's why a lot of people who are the best at it have been doing whatever they've been doing for 20 and 30 years.
Oh, definitely. You don't start off being at the top of your game.
Right.
Everybody starts somewhere. And what I want to stress out to the people is that you have control over you.
Yeah.
We don't think that we do. You have control over every single aspect of you. You have control over your emotions, what you get angry at, what you don't get angry at. You have control over your time. How you perceive time can change. Just look at it differently.
Yep.
You can change your whole world. I did that summer when I looked at blocks of time. I learned Photoshop off that.
Yeah.
In one summer. I got like years of experience on something in one summer because
Okay,
I did that.
you just said something I like. You said what you get angry at and what you don't. Now that
Yep.
definitely rolls into this next law.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and do it then. Let's go ahead and do it. Disdain the things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge.
Okay, well, let's define disdain.
Okay.
For the people.
You want the actual straight up English
The straight
dictionary
up
definition?
because I think the word, because when I first read it, right, disdain meant to me initially, my initial definition of disdain in my life was in my head was to not like something that you cannot have.
Mm-hmm.
But when we go through the chapter, you find out it's not so much disdain, in my opinion. It's more, I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Yeah. So what it say here is disdain is a noun, is the feeling that someone or something is unworthy of one's consideration or respect or contempt. Now, the verb of it is to consider to be unworthy of one's consideration.
Right. And I defined that. The reason I wanted to define this because in my head, it was not that.
Right.
I looked at it as I don't like it. I don't want it around me. I can't stand it. When that's not what disdain is. Disdain is just, I don't want to deal with it.
It's not hatred.
Right.
Because we try to align it with something that's hatred. And based on the definition, it's not. It's
not at all. That's why I wanted to define that for the people, because I knew I had associated it with a form of hatred. Yes. And I that's why I wanted to define it for the people, because it's not that. It is literally what we talk about all the time, being unbothered. Letting something not letting something bother you, and be those people who are completely unbothered.
So it says, now Robert Greene wrote here in the judgment in the introduction to the chapter, he said, by acknowledging a petty problem, you give it existence and credibility. The more attention you pay an enemy, the stronger you make him. And a small mistake is often made worse and more visible when you try to fix it.
Yep.
It's sometimes best to leave things alone. If there's something you want but cannot have, show contempt for it. The less interest you reveal, the more superior you seem.
Listen, I'm pretty good at this one. Like I'm real good at this law. I have used this law as effectively or more effectively than any other law we've gone through. I feel I am a champion at being unbothered. I'm one of the foremost, individuals on the planet Earth for being unbothered. I'm not gonna let you get under my skin.
There you go. That's your horns for the champions.
I'm not gonna let you get under my skin, man. I'm just not gonna let you do it. I'm not gonna let you know you bother me. I'm not gonna let you know you frustrated me. I'm gonna move through it. I can't give you the benefit. I can't give you the pleasure of knowing you got to me.
But look at this. Further in the chapter, Robert Greene said this, and I highlighted this because I've been saying this since day one. I just said it in the last chapter. Remember, you choose to let things bother you. You can just as easily choose not to notice the irritating offender, to consider the matter trivial and unworthy of your interest.
Yep.
Your pride is not involved.
And that's the biggest issue right there. Your pride. I've heard and I've seen people lose it all just because I can't let them feel like they got it.
Exactly.
They didn't get nothing from you, really. But you make it bigger than it was just because you can't allow somebody else to feel like they win.
Let's look at this comment here. OG said that's easier said than done. Yes, it is. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And this is something I teach teachers. This. Because you have a kid that's doing a little thing.
Right.
So you're going to stop the whole class and disrupt everybody just to correct one person because they clicking their pen or they got their head down. Some stuff you got to ignore. Or for me, on Sundays, because this Sunday I had to go to the church and do a sermon this Sunday. Pretty good too. But the lesson I learned from old pastors and stuff like that is when you delivering a sermon and let's say a baby in the crowd crying or somebody sleeping and snoring, you don't stop the whole thing and say, shut that baby up. You keep going because you disrupting what you're doing because you giving the power away to a little thing.
Right.
And oftentimes, if you choose not to let it bother, because it's a choice, everything is not easy. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of things ain't easy. They're not. But you're going to have to be cognizant of your emotions and then put yourself in check to say, okay, I'm not going to let that bother me right now.
Right.
But it's hard to do that, but you got to try it.
This right here is one of those things that's simple, but not easy.
Yeah, it ain't easy.
It's simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple. Hell, but digging a ditch is simple, but it ain't easy.
Ain't easy.
So you just got to be aware of that. You have to be aware of that. This is going to take some practice, and also the source or the thing you're trying to leave alone will determine how easy it is to leave it alone or not. Fellas, some of those ladies y'all know y'all should have left alone.
Leave them alone.
Ladies, some of these men y'all should have left alone. Yeah, it ain't easy. Sometimes it ain't easy. You know you're supposed to leave them alone. You know you're supposed to leave her alone. You know you should have walked away years ago. You still messing with her though.
But you know what though? Let me bring this back to something that we tell children, because we tell our kids to do this. It's two things. Here's the first one. If you ever had a kid that got bit by an ant or a mosquito, and they say, Daddy, this thing is itching, what you tell them to do?
Quit scratching.
But when they keep scratching it, what happened?
Now they got a sore.
And they get worse. This is the same thing. You can choose not to scratch it and it won't get worse. You know, I noticed it with kids too. When I teach this lesson, when kids do little things to get on people's nerves.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And what I tell them is this. I said, okay, first they report something to me. They say, hey doc, you put cream on it. You know what I'm trying to say. But so when they come to me and say, this kid picking on me, he keeps saying my mama ugly, or this saying this or that. And I ask myself, all right, you want me to fix it or you want to fix it? And they say, well, I want to fix it. You ain't got to fix it. Okay, this is what you do. This is a war. And the war is who's going to last the longest.
Right.
You or him. Now, this person is going to keep attacking you to make you come back and fight them.
Yep.
But what you have to do is ignore them long enough, and you got to last longer than them so they quit. You can't let this stuff bother you. You got to tune it all out.
Yep.
Sometimes the advice works, and kids come back and say, you know what, doc? You was right. I did it and it worked. And sometimes they be like, I just couldn't help it. I had to fight them. And then both of y'all in trouble.
Now both
that's
y'all,
what life is. Have disdain for that little stuff, man. Let that little stuff go.
What's the Pancho Villa story in this?
Man. Yeah.
Listen.
Right. Go ahead, man.
I'm listening to this story, and sadly, it just sounded so American. It sounded so American. Unfortunately, you let this man in this fallaway. Go ahead and tell him the story.
All right, Pancho Villa. So basically, what happened is Mexican rebel leader Pancho Villa was over this game. United States wanted to get him, so they chased him down to get him. But they chased him across a desert, over mountains, all these places where they wasn't used to going. Had cost them so much to get this man who wasn't worth nothing. Sometimes we spend more effort on small things than just letting it go.
What's so funny about it is, at the time before they started chasing him, the Mexican people didn't even like him.
No.
They chased him so long that the Mexican people started liking him and turned him into a folk hero.
Because of that, they made him famous.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah, we do it. We do it all the time.
We
give people way too much control and too much influence in our lives sometimes. Just by paying attention to them.
You know who does this? I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you, and when I tell you this, you're gonna be surprised. Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree does this. You ever notice that, they sell everything for $1, and some places it's $1.50, right? They don't invest that much in security.
Nope.
People can steal up out of there, and they see you, they're gonna stop you. But if they don't, they let you go.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it costs them more for security than it did to let you steal it.
Yep.
So they let you steal it because it cost them more to stop you.
Yep. It's 25 cents for you to walk out of there.
So what?
I got to pay somebody $20 an hour to stop you.
So what? So my question is, what problems, what things in your life right now are happening that you need to stop paying attention to because it's costing you so much because of your pride?
Yep.
What is it?
It's a lot, and I think a lot of people need to ask themselves that is the energy, time, money, or whatever it is that you're putting into something worth it? Are you gonna get, or is this just about your pride? Is this just about your quote unquote respect?
Oh, that's what it is. Because you know what? People out here, they ain't trying to win. They ain't trying to win. What they trying to do is uplift their egos. That's what winning is to them. So that's why I always say, define what winning is to you. Take time to define that. Then you won't get caught up in this pride stuff and this disdain thing.
Right. And you know what? That's important right there. That's something you can do. We can do a lot on that. Define when we have done something on.
Oh yeah, we've been saying it for months.
Yeah, because you really do. Because that's almost like that's your conclusion. That's your goal. You don't know what you're doing if you don't have that. You don't know what's worth your time and what's not.
No, exactly. Because you know what folks will do? To them, winning is having the crowd.
Yeah.
And that's all you get. The Bible taught some stuff about that, by saying that the only reward certain people get is just having people saying, oh yeah, they did that.
Yep.
But the true goal is what you have to stay focused on. Now, what I got here? Oh, desire, keys to power. So he said, oh shoot, bro, I highlighted so much stuff on this thing. But right here, look at this. Kick him, he'll forgive you. Flatter him, and he may or may not see through you. Ignore him, and he will hate you.
Yep.
Ignoring people
is
the worst punishment ever.
It will definitely, when you ignore someone the right way, you just leave them alone, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna run right back to you.
Oh, of course.
Because they just can't figure out why you ain't giving them no time.
But I'm gonna go back to what you said when we first started. Define disdain.
Yeah.
So now that we said that, listen, the feeling that someone or something is unworthy of one's consideration or respect. You telling people you ain't even worth it.
Yeah. You ain't worth my time. I got better things to do. I'm over here trying to master timing, and you over here trying to throw me off my game. I'm not gonna let you do it. I got things to master out here. I got to master these 48 laws, and you trying to throw me off my game. I'm trying to get some power out here.
Man, okay. I'm trying to set my family, trying to have a good life. I don't care.
Yeah, man, I ain't got time for you. Come on.
I don't even care.
I got time for you.
I waste my time on that. And that's what we get. But see, the thing is, a lot of us don't know how to say, I don't have time for that. Because we feel like we have to fight every single battle.
Yep.
And we don't have to fight every single one.
No, we do not. You only have to fight. Most of the time, it ain't but a few battles you really have to fight.
So let's look at this one here. So OG said, pick and choose your battle. And then, Damien said amen to that. But yeah, pick and choose your battles. That's true. But every fight, you don't have to fight.
Nope.
And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of what we got going on now in the world. Because everybody feel like they have to fight every fight. And
I agree that. I definitely agree with that. Mm-hmm. People do feel like, and I think social media and everybody want to have and having a platform and feel like their voice need to be heard has added to that. But some things really aren't worth your time. A lot of things aren't worth your time.
No. But you know what, though? It's easier for people to fight these days because it's easier to say a post on something and to say something or make a short video about it. It's easy to do that. So that's why everybody want to do it. But if it was like back in the day where you had to walk your behind down to City Hall and do something, anybody want to do that?
No.
It's easy to fight.
Right.
That's why everybody wants to do it.
It's easy to be outraged. It's easy to be outraged. It's easy to take offense or take issue with something. But then most of the time, that's it. They outrage, they take offense, they take issue, but they ain't fighting.
Exactly.
So, well, let's take what we right now, the Roe v. Wade situation. A lot of folks got a lot to say, but ain't a lot of folks out here fighting.
No.
Oh, this is messed up. Oh, this is messed up. Can't fight on social media. Sure can't.
No, because it's like trying to rationalize with irrational people.
Right.
They're going to change the rules every time, so they'll never see your point of view because they don't want to see your point of view. So what do you do in that point? Disdain.
Yep.
You know what?
Well, half people live in their own little echo chambers anyway, so.
You just open up something for me just now with that. You opened up something. I'm glad you had us define that word. Disdain the things you cannot have.
Yep.
Now, a lot of folks, especially religious folks, us religious folks, they get mad when they can't convert somebody. They get mad when they tell people these ideas and they refuse to accept them. But even to that, I say, if they don't accept it, disdain, you move on. You let people do what they do.
Yep.
You can't do that. I mean, that applies to everything. You ain't gonna change people's minds, especially on social media. You ain't. That just ain't gonna happen. They gonna fight you just because.
Just because.
But look at this. So I circled this. You need to turn your back on what you want. Show your contempt and disdain. So you want somebody to change somebody's mind about something, you want to do all this stuff, stop chasing them. This kind of powerful response that will drive your targets crazy. People can't stand when you ignore them.
Nope.
They will respond with a desire of their own, which is simply to have an effect on you, perhaps to possess you or perhaps hurt you. They want you to react. That's the whole thing. They want you to react to something.
Like and this is something I'm sure you said to kids, they just doing it to get a reaction at you.
Yes.
And that's all it is. They people just want, because they want to know they have the ability to affect how you feel. That's it. They you know how much power you give a person when they know they can come in a room and say something and ruin your day?
Yes. You know what though? That's what's happening right now. Fellas, a lot of these the feminist people and some of these women get up there and say some of the most sideways things about us.
Yep.
And you know why they upset? Because we don't react. We stop reacting and feeding into that stuff. So now they're trying to get our attention more.
Yep. Well,
because
we live in an attention society. So okay, let's think about it like that. Your disdain, because people put so much value on attention, for you to not give something that attention is really you saying the cost of my attention is more than that.
Yeah.
You know, because people in this world thrive on attention. That's why you have people doing all kind of outrageous stuff on all these social media.
That's OG. That's why y'all always say it better than me. But you a wise man. You gonna say you not. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut you off right now. You a wise man.
Listen, I think one of the things I've been learning and learning to articulate what you mean is very important.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I'm still learning. I just got the ability to articulate some of the things I've been trying to say years ago. One of the reasons I appreciated Kevin Samuels so much was his ability to articulate what he was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Even whether I agree with it or disagree with whatever it was, his ability to articulate it was very impressive. And I learned a lot just from that.
He constructed the argument, boy, I tell you.
Oh, yeah.
I learned a lot from that.
It's a guy does these videos. His name of his page is It's Complicated. Oh, man.
Look.
The way he articulates and formulates questions to get an answer, magic.
I mean, he's good. He's good. He did an interview though. I ain't really like what he was saying, so I kind of backed up off him for a second. But I will give brother his props. He's been doing it for a decade. He is good.
He's good. He know how to formulate and craft it to make it, to force you to answer the question.
Yeah.
And I think we've lost the art of asking questions.
That's right, because people don't want to answer questions.
When the questions get hard, sign language.
Look, you just stand up behind what you say you are, what you're gonna do, and let it be. Let it look fear straight in the face, and tell them to come on, bring what you got.
Yes, sir.
But so look at this. He said, we rounding this out. If choosing to ignore enhances your power, then it follows that the opposite approach, commitment and engagement, often weakens you.
Yes.
The more attention you pay to the stuff, the weaker you get.
And I think this makes these two laws tie in so well. Because at some point, you're going to have to give something some attention.
Yeah.
But that's why you have to master the time. You have to know when to engage and how to engage at the right time, in the right moment, in the right situation, and when to ignore and move past.
Man, but he talks about this. Robert Greene talks about what you just said toward the end of the chapter.
Right.
And what he said, it's a couple of different ways to approach, but really what he was talking about, it depends on who is levying the act against you.
Right.
If it's somebody smaller than you, how should you react? You act like it didn't happen.
Right.
It's kind of like I tell those kids that if, Doc, they told me to shut up and I ain't gonna let them tell me to shut up. Okay, so you in the 6th grade. If somebody that was in kindergarten came around and told you to shut up, what would you say? Oh, I wouldn't matter. They in the kindergarten. Okay, you got to look at them the same way.
Yep.
These people are, it's like if the drunk cross the street come and start saying, I ain't no good and this and that, I don't even care.
Right. You the drunk
don't
cross
register
the street.
to me.
Right.
Exactly. Also, he said it's a sour grapes approach. It's something that you want, but you realize you can't have. The worst thing you can do is draw attention to your disappointment by complaining about it. Stop whining about stuff. We whine too much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a good one. Matter of fact, read that poem one more time, Doc.
Okay. First, there's the sour grapes approach. If there's something you want, but you realize you cannot have, the worst thing you can do is draw attention to your disappointment by complaining about it.
AKA, they don't like you. Listen, you can't get that job. You can't go on that vacation. Sorry. Guess what? Sitting there crying about it, ain't gonna get none of those.
Whiners equal beta males. I don't prescribe to those titles, but I see what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? So what? Okay, you can't have it now. You can either sit here and cry about it or figure out how to get it.
You can find something that's better. Oh, it's all good, OG. Go ahead and do what you do, bro. We wrapping this up anyhow.
It ain't but two options out here. You either cry about it and be miserable, or fix it, figure out how to get it, and go get it. But listen, that crying ain't gonna help nothing.
Nah. You talk about this all the time, and I like what you said, and I've adapted this into my own life. You talked about you can't cry over the rules. You just got to know what the rules are.
Right.
Some things ain't fair.
Nope.
And whining about it ain't gonna do nothing. What you gonna do?
The rules are what they are. Just long as you tell me what the rules are, I figure out how to win. Just don't keep changing the rules on me. Don't keep moving that goalpost. Which is why people, our people want to play. Our people excelled first was in the sport because they had set rules.
That's right. Well, between that and the fact that they made us to be super anyway, they took the best of us and put with the other best of us, and this is what you get.
Yeah, funny joke a comedian told about that very thing. Talking about when Hitler was running around talking about, oh, we had the master race. He was like, hold up, America, we might already did that by accident.
For real, man, for real. But basically, you know what? Again, he said, if it's a master or person that's your equal, you can't act like it ain't happened. You can't do that. Right. You got to address it. But if it's somebody below you, let it ride.
Like, don't do like America in the ways. What he said, 163,000 troops chasing down Pancho Villa and his 500 men or something like that.
That was nothing but pride right there, man. That was straight up pride.
You let this one man, you done put a whole army after this one man. You looking stupid out here.
Yeah, chasing things.
Chasing this one dude for months and months to the point where you became the butt of the joke.
You know what? But people do that with and I hate to say it like this, man, but some of our brothers do it, with their rap careers.
Yep.
It's a certain age where, your flow is tight. You can rap. I mean, it's on there.
But it's over.
But if you ain't already there by the time if you ain't there by the time you in your 20s, early 20s, because even the old dudes that we listen to, they started in their 20s.
Right.
So that's what it is, man.
It's a young man's game.
And you know what? I realize a lot of stuff is a young man's game.
Yeah. Well, you and I know in society in general, the stuff, especially in the Black community, is a young man's game because they trying to control the way we think. And it's easier to control the way a young person thinks than a grown person. And it's just not a lot of, I can't relate to most of what's on the radio right now. I'm a 40-year-old family man.
Yeah.
Most of that stuff don't have no value in my life at all. They don't play no more R&B. I'm out here trying to be in love. They don't play no more R&B out here.
You got to go back on those CD. Oh my bad. You got to go back on them tapes that we got in there.
You got to pull up. You got to go to the old school section on your Spotify. When when your music in the old school section, that's when you know roll with.
For sure, man.
I just want to tell the people these two chapters are very simple in theory, but not easy. They're going to require some intention and some practice. But they can have. They almost like, especially the disdain, the amount of stress you can remove from your life.
Yes.
From mastering this law or this skill, you have no clue, man. When you learn to truly be unbothered, it's like you freeing up time, you freeing up energy, you freeing up stress, and you just let them people go about their life.
Now this is all right. I know we begin to the end, man, but I got to say this one little thing, man. Unbothered. In the definition of the way that you're using it, is a way to preserve yourself and a way to avoid unnecessary drama. Right. Now, there are some people that say, I'm unbothered, and they go out and attack other people.
Right.
That's not right.
No.
Don't do that. Don't say I'm unbothered. So that means that you can do whatever you want, offend whoever you want, and do whatever you want. The world ain't set up that way.
Nope.
But also, he said this, and I know y'all go back and read this chapter. I'm telling you, I got a PDF of it. If you want to actually read it, or you want a copy of the audio, send me a message. We'll talk. But it said, develop the skill of sensing problems when they are small and taking care of them before they become intractable. Learn to distinguish between the potentially disastrous and the mildly irritating, the nuisance that will quietly go away on its own. In either case, though, never completely take your eye off of it.
It is. I like that. Be aware. Understand that it's there. Know it's out there. But let it be over there. Just let it be. And sometimes these things, also the other part of this is you don't have to put nearly the amount of energy in certain things for a problem to take care of itself.
There you go. Take care of itself.
You can get all upset and mad and angry, and a lot of times that problem was going to take care of itself anyway. I'll give you an example. You got a bill due. You got a bill due.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can sit there and stress about that bill, and you can figure out when you can pay it, and don't worry about it till you can pay it. If you can't pay it to the, I don't care if you on the first, the fifth, or whatever. But if I can't pay it to the 12th, guess what I'm gonna worry about?
I'm paying it on the 12th.
I'm paying it on the 12th.
As y'all ain't turning it off.
That's it. You get paid on the 12th. That's what I'm gonna have.
But you know what though? But even so, I'm thinking about this thing too. We do this at work. People have these supervisors and other employees that they don't like. They be acting funny. It may be somebody that don't even have interactions with you. Leave them people alone, because they're going to take care of themselves. Yep. It ain't up to you to try to get them fired. Matter of fact, they work going to speak for themselves and get their own self fired. And if not, guess what? You're going to choose to do something else that's much more advantageous to you.
Exactly.
So, man, I guess we at the end of that one, man. I mean,
hey, go back, go through these 2 chapters, read them, put them in your cortex, put it back there in your back pocket somewhere, use them when you need to. But this is about don't waste time, don't waste time in general, and don't waste time on problems that you can't do nothing about, or they ain't really as big as you think they are. Figure out what's really worth your time.
Yeah,
people, and we'll be back here next week for 2 more chapters. We're getting down to the nitty gritty.
Chapter 37 and 38.
37 and 38. We rolling through this thing. Please, any questions or any chapters you missed, you didn't understand, to go back over. We open for that.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Thank y'all for joining us. We'll see y'all Saturday morning at 11. We got some interesting topics we're gonna go over. A lot of stuff we're gonna go over this week. It's been a wild week, and it's the 4th of July weekend.
Oh, man.
What you putting on the grill? Let them know what you putting on that grill this weekend. I might have to come by your house. I don't know.
Hey, fix a plate for Doc and the Lion.
Hey, we coming through. Hey, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Good night, America. We out.
Later.